Imagine standing at the edge of a river with your hands outstretched. You scoop up the water, desperate to hold it, desperate to keep it from slipping away. But the harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes, leaving your palms empty. Now imagine this. What if your entire life has been lived that way, clinging, controlling, grasping, and mistaking that desperate struggle for strength? This is the illusion of control. We are told from childhood that safety comes from holding on tightly to our plans, our relationships, our future. But the truth is far more unsettling. The more we cling, the more we suffer. Anxiety is born not from the present moment, but from our futile attempt to dominate it, to bend life into our design. And yet, life, like the river, was never meant to be caged. Think about it. How many nights have you stayed awake, rehearsing conversations that never happened, worrying about losses that never came? How many moments of joy have been stolen, not by reality, but by the fear of what might go wrong? This is the quiet tragedy of control. It promises security, but delivers only exhaustion. In this journey, we will uncover a radical truth, one the Buddha taught centuries ago, that freedom is not found in holding on, but in letting go. And by the end, you will see that surrender is not weakness, but the greatest power you can awaken. If the opening image unsettled you, that's because it challenges one of the deepest assumptions of our time, that the key to happiness is control. Control your schedule, control your success, control your relationships, control your future. We have been trained to grip every detail, as if life were a machine that only works when we push all the buttons in the right order. But Buddhist wisdom offers a startlingly different perspective, one that feels uncomfortable at first, but profoundly liberating once understood. The truth is this: life has its own rhythm, a flow that is always moving, always changing, whether we interfere or not. When we fight against that current, we exhaust ourselves. When we trust it, when we step back even slightly, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to carry us instead of crush us. In Buddhist thought, this is the wisdom of non-attachment, doing what is necessary, but not imprisoning yourself in outcomes, acting with clarity, but releasing the obsession to control every twist and turn. In this video, we will explore why the habit of controlling steals our peace, how anxiety is born from our resistance to what is, and most importantly, the timeless Buddhist practices that can help us surrender with courage. We will move step by step, deeper and deeper, until we reach the most important truth of all: that letting go is not the end of power, it is the beginning of freedom. Before we dive in, take a moment to pause. If this message already speaks to something in your heart, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your reflections in the comments. This is not just another video, it is an invitation to walk together toward a quieter, freer mind. And who knows, your words might be the reminder someone else desperately needs today. So, let us begin. There is a strange kind of prison that most of us live in without even noticing. Its walls are invisible, its bars are made not of steel but of thoughts, and its locks are forged out of fear. This prison is anxiety. And the irony is, we build it ourselves. Think about the last time you felt anxious. Chances are, it wasn't because of something that was happening in front of you. It was because of something that might happen, something your mind projected into the future. Anxiety thrives on what-ifs and maybes. It takes a single possibility, stretches it into a vivid story, and convinces you that you must prepare for it, fight it, or fear it. But here is the uncomfortable truth. That story is not reality. It's a shadow. And when you live in shadows, you miss the light of the present moment. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds we plant, whether of fear or of peace, the soil does not judge. It simply grows what it is given. Plant a seed of anxiety, water it with attention, and soon you'll be surrounded by thorns. Plant a seed of calm, nurture it with mindfulness, and you'll find yourself in a quiet garden. The choice of what grows belongs to us. But most of us never realize that we are the gardeners of our own inner world. Modern life makes this prison even tighter. We are constantly bombarded with reasons to worry. Notifications demand our attention. Headlines scream of crises. Social media compares us to others who seem to be thriving while we quietly fear we are falling behind. Each message whispers the same lie. You are not safe unless you control everything. And so we tighten our grip. We micromanage our schedules, obsess over outcomes, replay conversations in our minds. Yet the more we try to control, the more powerless we feel, because life stubbornly refuses to obey. Have you noticed how anxiety robs you twice? First, it steals the present moment, the only place life actually happens. Second, it often creates the very outcome you were afraid of. Fear of failure leads to hesitation, and hesitation undermines performance. Fear of abandonment makes us cling, and clinging pushes others away. Fear of not being enough keeps us silent, and in that silence, opportunities pass us by. In this way, anxiety is not just a cage, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The Buddha once compared an anxious mind to a house on fire. When the flames are burning, it doesn't matter how beautiful the furniture is or how secure the walls seem, you cannot find peace inside. The only solution is to step outside, to recognize that the fire is not who you are. Anxiety feels permanent, but it is impermanent. It arises, lingers, and passes if we do not feed it. But here lies the real challenge. Our culture rewards anxiety. It tells us that worrying means we are responsible, that planning for every outcome means we are wise, that obsessing over the future shows ambition. Yet beneath the surface, we know this is not wisdom, but suffering disguised as virtue. True wisdom is not the endless preparation for life, it is the willingness to live it. Ask yourself, how many joys have you missed because you were rehearsing a problem that never arrived? How many peaceful nights were lost to battles fought only in your imagination? How many times did you hold back your laughter, your courage, your love, because you were afraid of what might go wrong? This is the uncomfortable truth. Anxiety is not protecting you. It is consuming you. It is the shadow that convinces you. It is the guard. But in reality, you are both the prisoner and the jailer. And if you built the cage, you also hold the key. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. The present is where fear loses its grip, because fear cannot exist in what is real. Fear exists only in what is imagined. And once you see that clearly, something inside you begins to shift. So the question becomes, will you continue rehearsing shadows, or will you dare to step into the light of now? If anxiety is the cage, then clinging is the chain that binds us to it. To free ourselves, we must first understand why the mind grasps so desperately, why we insist on controlling life, even though every experience proves how impossible that task truly island. To see clearly, We will trace this pattern across 3 levels: the personal, the social, and the spiritual. Each layer reveals not only why we suffer, but also why Buddhist wisdom points toward a radically different way of being. On the most intimate level, clinging begins with fear. Fear is not just an emotion, it is a lens through which we see the world. When fear colors our vision, every situation appears more threatening, every uncertainty more dangerous, every silence more ominous. Imagine someone who fears failure. Even before they begin a project, that fear whispers, "What if you fall short? What if others see you as weak?" That whisper shapes their choices. They hesitate. They procrastinate. They hold back their best effort, terrified it might not be enough. And in the end, the very failure they dreaded inches closer, not because of fate, but because of fear itself. The mind is like a novelist who never sleeps. It spins stories of disaster conversations that might go wrong, illnesses that might appear, relationships that might collapse. These stories are vivid, detailed, convincing. And though most never come true, we live as though they already have. We argue with people in our heads before speaking with them. We mourn losses that haven't occurred. We brace ourselves for storms that never arrive. This is why the Buddha taught, "What you think, you become." When the mind rehearses fear, the body reacts as if danger were already present. Heart racing, muscles tense, breath shallow. We are trapped not by the world, but by the imagination of the world. Personal clinging is a survival strategy gone astray. Long ago, vigilance kept our ancestors alive. To expect danger was safer than to ignore it. But in our modern lives, the threats are rarely tigers in the grass. They are deadlines, conversations, possibilities, images on a screen. And yet, our nervous system reacts as if our life depended on controlling them. The result is exhaustion. If fear is planted inside us, society waters it daily. From the moment we wake, we are told in 1,000 subtle ways, "You are not enough as you are. You must control more. You must achieve more. You must secure more." Consider the culture of productivity. We glorify busyness as if it were proof of worth. Keep grinding, hustle harder, stay in control. These are the mantras of our age. The marketplace thrives on our restlessness. If we feel inadequate, we will buy more. If we fear falling behind, we will work harder. If we are convinced that control equals safety, we will sacrifice peace for the illusion of power. Technology intensifies this cycle. Our devices flood us with reminders that life is slipping away unless we act. Notifications buzz, headlines scream, algorithms whisper, "Look here, respond now, don't miss out." Each alert pulls us out of presence and into projection. We scroll not because we choose to, but because the world has trained us to believe that missing even a fragment of information could cost us. Social media, in particular, rewards control. We edit our images, curate our words, measure our value in likes and comments. But beneath the polished surface lies anxiety. Am I enough? Do they approve? What if I disappear from the feed? And so, even in play, we cling. Education, too, conditions us for control. From childhood, we are graded on memorization rather than exploration, obedience rather than curiosity. We are taught to color inside the lines, to follow the script, to control outcomes rather than question assumptions. The child who wanders, who pauses, who lets go is often corrected, even punished. By adulthood, the lesson is clear. Release is risky, control is safe. But what has this brought us? A generation that is busier than ever, yet more anxious than ever. A society that has more tools to manage life, but less peace in living it. We have perfected the art of interference, but forgotten the grace of trust. Here is where Buddhist wisdom pierces through the fog. For centuries, the teachings of the Buddha have pointed out what modern science is only beginning to confirm: that our suffering does not arise from reality itself, but from our resistance to reality. First, impermanence, anicca. Everything changes. Seasons shift, bodies age, relationships evolve, fortunes rise and fall. To cling is to fight the very fabric of existence. It is like trying to trap the wind in a box. The more you resist change, the more you suffer when change inevitably comes. Second, non-self, anatta. The I that insists on control, the voice that says, "This must go my way, or I will collapse," is itself an illusion. We are not separate fixed entities standing apart from life. We are threads in a vast tapestry, interwoven with countless causes and conditions. When we loosen the grip of self, we loosen the grip of fear. Third, dependent origination, pratitya samutpada. Nothing arises in isolation. Every moment is the fruit of countless conditions. Our task is not to control all those conditions that would be impossible, but to act wisely within them. To plant good seeds, to water them with care, and then to release the outcome to the law of cause and effect. This is not passivity, it is clarity. It is recognizing that our influence is real, but not absolute. This is why the Buddha taught the middle way. Not clinging to indulgence, not clinging to denial, but walking the path of balance. Acting with intention, yet releasing attachment. Doing your part, then letting the river carry you. When we look across these three layers: personal fear, social conditioning, and spiritual ignorance, we see the same pattern. We cling because we are afraid. We cling because we are trained to. We cling because we forget the truth of impermanence and interdependence. And yet, the very recognition of this pattern is the first crack in the cage. To see that fear is often fiction, that society profits from our restlessness, that the self we defend is an illusion, this is the beginning of freedom. The prison of anxiety may be invisible, but its bars weaken the moment we name them. And once you see the root causes clearly, you can no longer cling in ignorance. You may still fear, you may still grasp, but a part of you will know, this is not reality, this is a story. And stories can be rewritten. When words alone cannot convince, images can pierce the heart. Throughout history, teachers have relied on metaphors to carry truths too subtle to explain directly. The Buddha himself spoke not in abstractions but in parables. The poisoned arrow, the raft, the lotus rising from the mud. So, let us turn to the language of images, because sometimes what cannot be grasped by reason can be seen by the mind's eye. Hold water in your hand. If you clench your fist, the water escapes. If you open your palm, the water rests gently. This is the simplest lesson of letting go. Clinging creates loss. Openness creates space. The tighter we grip life, the more it slips through us. The more we soften, the more it remains. Imagine holding a butterfly. Fear whispers, "Don't let it fly away." So you close your hand, just a little tighter, only to discover you have crushed what you meant to keep. The Buddha taught, attachment is suffering. What we cling to we often destroy, not because life is cruel, but because our fear island true love, true peace, is like an open palm. Only in freedom can beauty endure. Picture a flowing river, its current steady and strong. Now imagine throwing stones into it, one for each worry, one for each attempt to control. At first, the river adjusts, water bending around the obstacles. But as the stones pile higher, the flow becomes chaotic, turbulent. This is the mind under anxiety, not broken, but disturbed by its own interference. Remove the stones, release the worries, and the current smooths itself. Life was always capable of flowing. It only needed us to stop damming it. Have you ever tried to swim against a current? Your body tenses, your breath shortens, exhaustion sets in quickly. Now imagine lying back, floating. Suddenly the river supports you, carrying you farther than your own strength ever could. This is surrender. Not passivity, but alignment. Not laziness, but trust. When you stop fighting the current, you discover it was never against you, it was always for you. The mind is like soil. It will not question what you plant. Plant fear, and it will grow thorns. Plant mindfulness, and it will grow peace. Every anxious thought is a seed. Every act of awareness is water. What you cultivate determines what blossoms. If you look around your inner world and see only weeds, do not despair. The soil is not your enemy. It is waiting for new seeds. The Buddha once said the wise release as a snake sheds its skin. The snake does not argue with its old skin, nor cling to it for safety. It releases naturally, without regret, because growth demands it. So it is with us. Every season of life requires shedding identities, expectations, illusions. To resist this is to suffocate. To let go is to grow. These images are not distant myths. They live in our daily lives. Think of the job you clung to out of fear, only to lose it and discover a path you never imagined. Think of the relationship you tried to control, only to find that letting go brought healing. Think of the nights you worried endlessly, only to laugh later when nothing happened. Over and over, life whispers the same lesson. What you release returns in new form. What you grip too tightly breaks. Metaphors are not decoration, they are mirrors. They show us what the intellect resists. They reveal what the anxious mind refuses to admit. That freedom has always been closer than fear would allow us to see. So remember the water in your palm, the butterfly in your hand, the river beneath your body, the seeds in your soil, the snake in its shedding. These are not just stories, they are invitations. They are reminders that life flows not when you interfere, but when you trust. There comes a moment in every journey when the surface truths are no longer enough. We have seen how fear distorts, how society feeds our restlessness, how even our own minds trick us into rehearsing shadows. But beneath all these layers lies a deeper truth, one that strikes at the very heart of suffering. Clinging is the root, and letting go is the cure. This is not a comfortable truth. In fact, it may be the most threatening idea of all, because letting go means surrendering not only our illusions of control, but also the very identities we have built around them. Who am I if I am not the one in charge? Who am I if I stop fighting? These questions terrify the ego. And so, we cling harder, we double down, we defend our anxiety as if it were armor. But here is the paradox. The more we grasp, the weaker we become. The more we try to control, the more life slips through our fingers. Power is not in the grip, it is in the release. Freedom is not in the chains of certainty, it is in the courage to stand bare in uncertainty, trusting that the ground beneath us is enough. The Buddha taught that attachment is the cause of suffering. Not because life is cruel, but because reality is fluid and attachment is rigid. Imagine trying to dam a river with your bare hands. Imagine trying to stop the wind with a closed fist. That is what attachment is, an attempt to force the infinite into the finite. It is a battle we cannot win. Letting go, then, is not weakness. It is alignment with reality. It is stepping out of illusion and into truth. When you release the need to control, you do not lose your life, you finally live it. You discover that life is not an enemy to subdue, but a partner to trust. Consider this. Every moment of peace you have ever felt came not from grasping, but from release. The sigh after finishing a difficult task, the relief after forgiving someone, the quiet joy of setting down a burden you carried too long. Peace arrives in the exhale, not the inhale. In the open hand, not the clenched fist. And yet, in our culture, we mistake arrogance for strength. We worship certainty. We praise those who claim to have all the answers. But look closely. Are they truly at peace? Or are they trapped in the same cage, only gilded? True wisdom is humble. True wisdom knows that it does not know. Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." The Buddha would nod. For to release certainty is to step into freedom. This is why letting go is not just psychological, it is spiritual. To let go is to practice non-attachment. To practice non-attachment is to honor impermanence. And to honor impermanence is to align with the Dharma itself. When you release clinging, you are not losing, you are awakening. Think of the snake shedding its skin. To the snake, the old skin may have once felt safe, protective. But when growth demands it, the skin must be left behind. To cling would be death. To shed is to live. We are the same. Every belief we outgrow, every role we release, every illusion we shed, these are not losses, but liberations. And yet, it takes courage, because letting go means facing the nakedness of life without the coverings of certainty. It means admitting, I do not control this moment. I do not own this outcome. I do not know what tomorrow will bring. For many, that feels unbearable. But here is the revelation. When you finally say these words, you do not fall, you rise. You rise into a freedom that no amount of control could ever provide. The teachings call this Sunyata, emptiness. Not emptiness as void, but emptiness as spaciousness, as openness. When the cup is empty, it can be filled. When the mind is uncluttered, wisdom can enter. Letting go empties us of illusions so that truth may dwell. This is the climax of our journey. The realization that surrender is not defeat, it is the highest act of power. To let go is to say yes to life as its island. To let go is to stand unarmed before impermanence and discover that impermanence is not an enemy but a teacher. To let go is to stop rehearsing the storm and start feeling the calm. So hear this clearly. Letting go is not giving up. It is giving over. It is entrusting yourself to the rhythm of the universe, the wisdom of Dharma, the flow of life itself. When you surrender, you are not abandoned, you are carried. When you release, you are not diminished, you are expanded. The tightrope walker trusts the rope, or else they cannot walk. The sailor trusts the wind, or else they cannot sail. And the awakened one trusts life, or else they cannot live. Ask yourself now, what are you clinging to so tightly that it has become a prison? What identity, What outcome? What fear? And what would happen if you opened your hand just a little, just enough to let the current in? The answer is waiting. The freedom is already here. The only thing between you and it is the illusion of control. It is one thing to see the truth and another to live it. We may understand that control is illusion, that anxiety is a cage, that letting go is freedom. But when morning comes and the mind begins to race, when the inbox fills, when the people we love disappoint us, when the unknown feels unbearable, how do we actually practice surrender? Buddhism is not abstract. It does not stop at philosophy. It offers tools simple, ordinary, and profoundly transformative for turning the wisdom of release into a daily way of being. Let us walk through these practices, one by one, each an invitation to loosen the grip of fear and step more fully into the present. Every storm has an eye. Every anxious thought has a still point. In Buddhism, the breath is that still point. It is the bridge between body and mind, the rhythm that is always here, always real, always now. When anxiety rises, notice where your mind has gone. Almost always, it has raced into the future, into scenarios that have not yet happened. The breath pulls you back. One inhalation, this moment exists. One exhalation, this moment is enough. Try this. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 6. Repeat 3 times. With each exhale, whisper silently, "Let go." Feel how your body softens, how the tightness loosens, how your grip on imagined futures begins to release. The Buddha taught, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. It is that simple. The breath does not solve the future. It dissolves the illusion that the future is all their island. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every fear deserves obedience. But when we are lost in them, they feel absolute. The practice is this. When an anxious thought appears, name it. Say gently to yourself, this is fear, this is doubt, this is control. Naming creates space. It reminds you that the thought is an event in the mind, not a truth about the world. Imagine a cloudy sky. Each thought is a cloud drifting by. You can chase it, analyze it, attach to it, or you can simply say, "Ah, there is a cloud." And wait. The cloud passes. The sky remains. The act of naming shifts you from prisoner to witness, and the witness is free. Letting go does not mean apathy. It does not mean folding your arms and watching life drift by. It means acting with clarity while releasing the demand that every outcome obey you. Think of a gardener. They plant seeds, water the soil, tend the ground, but they do not yank the sprouts upward to force their growth. That would kill them. The gardener does their part, and then they trust. So it is with us. Send the email, but release the obsession with the reply. Study for the exam, but release the panic about the grade. Speak the truth, but release the demand that others agree. This is the middle path. Do what is yours to do, and let life do the rest. The Buddha said, "You are not punished for your anger. You are punished by your anger." In the same way, you are not harmed by effort, but by attachment to its result. Anxiety piles up because we carry too much. Each worry is like a stone in the backpack of the mind. By nightfall, we are bent under their weight. Try this ritual. Each evening, write down 3 things that are outside your control. A deadline, a conversation, a fear. Write them clearly. Then fold the paper and place it in a box, a drawer, a bowl. As you set it down, whisper, "I release this for tonight." This act may seem symbolic, but symbols shape the heart. You are teaching your mind that release is possible, that you do not need to clutch every stone through the night. Sleep comes easier when the load is lighter. One of the deepest roots of control is fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of not being safe. Compassion untangles that root. Each day, choose one small act of kindness. Hold the door, listen without interrupting. Send a kind message with no expectation. Do it without seeking recognition. Do it without clinging to how it is received. This practice softens the ego's grip. It trains the heart to give without strings. The more you practice compassion, the more you discover that the world does not collapse when you release control. In fact, it opens. Letting go is not only for meditation cushions or rituals. It is for traffic jams, long lines, and tense conversations. When you catch yourself tightening, checking your phone every 2 minutes for a reply, replaying an argument in your head, pause. Ask, "Am I here, or am I in the future?" Bring your senses to the present. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the air on your skin. Hear the sounds around you. Each sensation is a doorway back. Each doorway reminds you, the present is manageable. The present is enough. Together, these practices form not a rigid system, but a rhythm. Breathe, name, act, release, ritual, compassion, presence. They are ways of loosening, of softening, of aligning. They are how philosophy becomes flesh, how insight becomes freedom. Remember, you do not need to master them all at once. Begin with one breath. Begin with one stone set down. Begin with one act of kindness. The current will meet you there. The Buddha did not say, "Be perfect." He said, "Be awake." And each moment of letting go is a moment of awakening. Life is not a machine to be controlled. It is a river to be trusted, a rhythm to be danced with, a mystery to be lived. The more we tighten our grip, the more we lose. The more we release, the more we discover. Anxiety promised safety, but gave us only exhaustion. Control promised strength, but gave us only fragility. It was never control that carried us, it was trust. It was never clinging that sustained us, it was surrender. So remember this, you do not need to cage the ocean. You need only to ride the waves. You do not need to hold the butterfly. You need only to open your palm. You do not need to fight every shadow. You need only to step into the light of now. Today, choose one small release. Set down one stone, let go of one fear. Open one clenched fist. Freedom is not a distant goal. It begins the moment you release what was never truly yours to hold. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who is carrying too much, someone who needs the reminder that they don't have to do it all alone. Leave a comment below with one thing you are ready to let go of today. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to join this quiet revolution of the mind, a community choosing trust over control, presence over fear, freedom over clinging. Stay awake, stay present, and above all, keep letting go.